Yo, and welcome to the game recap of San Jose State versus Wyoming, a tragic 35-28 loss. Hopefully I can come with some better adjectives for these demoralizing losses that they continue to have. This one's a 31-28, as we said, lose in Laramie this week. And man, oh man, was this a tough watch. And I think the number one stat to tell you why this was such a difficult watch is the second half time of possession. Let's see. San Jose State had the ball for 21 minutes and 26 seconds in the second half. The Wyoming Cowboys had the ball for 8 minutes and 34 seconds. That is almost triple the amount of time that Wyoming had the ball. So you were almost forced to watch the San Jose State without Walker Eaget-led offense for so long. You had multiple turnovers forced from San Jose State's defense. Taniela Latu had an interception. Jalen Boehner, he had another interception, his third in 2 weeks. Did the defense do their best job at the end of the game? Did not. We'll get to that. But you had the ball for so long. And for a team that rushes to the line always to come up with a quick play, catch the defense off guard, it was so difficult to watch them come up with the play. And then, I don't know, an incompletion to the right or a QB draw. It was a very difficult watch. But Walker Eaget in the first half, he played amazing. I don't have his stats offhand, and I don't want to take too long to find, but Walker Eaget played a pretty damn good game. Once he came out, it felt like the offensive line started to falter. Obviously, you understand just how important quarterbacks are to the fluidity of the entire offense, but man, he is really important to the fluidity of this entire offense. And I remember tweeting at a specific point, like there was a time, it was the first drive that he wasn't playing in. And I remember saying there was a time earlier in this year that people wanted to see this offense without Walker Eaget. There you go. And Wyoming isn't exactly like a perennial Mountain West powerhouse or anything like that. So that was a test for certain for Xavier Ward and Tama Amasoni. And what really made this game difficult, on top of what I've already said, is they had no run game tonight. I think they averaged 2 yards a carry. They finished with like 40 or 50 rushing yards in total, something like that. It was a tough watch for the offense in that second half. Danny Scudero, he now has San Jose State's record for most touchdowns in a single game, a single half, I'd imagine, too. They don't have that stat in the San Jose State record book. But I think that gets overshadowed not only by the loss, but 6 drops. Any of those catches, I'd imagine, at least the one in the first half, that was an absolute first down. You continue to rush the ball down the field. Who knows what happens afterwards? But 6 drops is very, very difficult to see in the box score next to 4 touchdowns and 150-something yards, whatever it was. The plays of the game, number one, you could flip a coin in the air between the Walker Eaget injury off the blitz fumble on the 4th down or the pick 6 for Braden Johnson. I'd say the more devastating one would be the Walker Eaget injury. I think that'd be my number one as to the most important play of the game, because not only did Walker Eaget get injured, but that's a 4th down play where nobody picks up the edge blitzer. It's a cover 0, so I mean, everyone's coming, but nobody picks him up. Somebody's got to understand where the mic is or whatever. Nobody picks up that edge rusher. He gets sacked. Turnover on downs. Again, so importantly, they were in the red zone. It's just such a difficult position to take. And then obviously, I think what everyone's upset about is what kind of refereeing catastrophe went on with that redo of a 4th down. But I don't know if this sounds a little noobish, but the coaches weren't upset about it. They had the camera specifically on Craig Stutzman and Kenny Matalolo when they redid the 4th down, and they weren't upset about it at all. So why should I be upset about it if they're going to redo it? It's their jobs, and they're not upset about it. So why should I be upset about a refereeing mishap if they weren't upset about it? So of course that turns into a game-altering pick 6 where it's the exact same thing. The right tackle, they come off the right side of the edge, sack. This one only turns into a pick 6 instead of a fumble and loss of downs. You could punt there. You could kick a field goal in the play where Walker gets injured, but you're 0 for 2 on field goals tonight. If you make one of those 2 field goals, you win this game. There's just so many things that go wrong in the second half. It's kind of hard to put them all together. The screenplay, I don't think that'll make my plays, but it was the screenplay to get them down into scoring position all the way down the field. Just poor tackling. Obviously there was a blitz on hand and it was the perfect counter, but there was poor tackling. Still outside of that, there's poor tackling on the touchdown rush. It was 35, 25 yards, whatever it was. Poor tackling on that. He broke like 3 different tackles on the way to the end zone. It was just it felt very reminiscent, as I failed to recall right now, unfortunately, who said it, but it felt like the Stanford game. And that's why I don't think it feels as disappointing. I feel like I've watched this game happen before, and there's at least a little bit more of an out, because you could say Walker Eagle got hurt, so your offense wasn't as fluid. So does this loss hurt? Absolutely. But I think there's more devastating losses that this team has suffered, especially this year. I think Central Michigan still would probably be number 1. I think you still put Stanford number 2, and then obviously this would be number 3. But man, oh man, what a final 30 minutes of that one. And I think another very telling statistic, especially in the second half, Wyoming averaged over 8 yards a play in the second half. San Jose State averaged just over 2 in the second half, just to, again, give that retelling of how difficult it was for San Jose State to get the ball moving despite having the ball for so long, 21 minutes plus in the second half. And then you look at Wyoming, who barely had the ball, but they were continuing at these long chunk plays. They muffed a punt, but it doesn't matter because they have a return touchdown in the first half with a punt return. They have a defensive touchdown. Everything just ends up working out for them, and that's ultimately San Jose State's own demise. And when you continue to have losses like that, I think the finger eventually has to get pointed at the coach, because it feels like everything collapses at a certain point when watching these games, because it does feel like a very similar script that's being used when watching these games. Like the Stanford game felt very familiar. At least in the Central Michigan game, they were trying to come back into that one. But it feels like football is such a cohesive game, and if one unit's not performing, then you have another unit that could keep you in the game. It feels like all 3 units kind of let themselves down at a certain point for San Jose State, and it's hard for them to rebound back into that, and it was just a very familiar feeling in this game, and it falls again on Coach Ken Niumatalolo. Walker goes down, and the offense just drops, and of course, the defense gets you 2 turnovers, so the defense keeps you in it, but when you need the defense at its most, it finally cracks, and it kept you in the game for so long. For so long, they had only allowed 1 touchdown, and it was the pick 6 and the special teams touchdown that was really the driving cause of what happened there. But at a certain point, they falter. Obviously, we discussed the return touchdown, the missed field goals. It just felt like you can't have all 3 units fail you at a certain point in this game. That's exactly what happened again, unfortunately. So a tough watch for San Jose State. Let me know in the comments how you rank the 4 losses on a scale of how difficult they were for you to watch and how excruciating they were, because I'm sure this one was not easy as well. Thank you for watching. Please comment below. I'll see you next time.